I enjoy reading, researching, watching documentaries and stuff, learning, continuing to learn as I progress throughout this life. So it is 11:54, July 22nd. It's the Friday after my 40th birthday, which was yesterday. My name is JP, and I'm coming to you from a mountainside cabin up in Mentone, Alabama. And I didn't have any specific thing that I wanted to talk about today, maybe other than just peace of mind. I got me a hot cup of coffee here, and a cool breeze blowing on me. The weather has been just phenomenal up here. It's quite a bit cooler here than it is down off the mountain here in the summertime in Alabama. This has been a very relaxing trip. We got here Wednesday afternoon, and we'll be headed home tomorrow morning. But it seems like time goes by quite a bit slower whenever you are truly relaxing and have nowhere to be. And one of the cool things about coming up here as well is that there is not much to do. So, like, there's a few little general stores, just a couple of restaurants and stuff. But you do much, most of your eating and stuff here at the cabin. So you have to bring your own food, cook it up, and take care of things here. And what that does is it takes out of the equation, you getting ready to go to dinner and driving to lunch or dinner or whatever. All that's taken out of the equation. So you end up having quite a bit more time to quote unquote vacate, really enjoy your vacation, it seems like. We made the drive up here several times over the past few years and finally pulled the trigger on staying up here. My wife was trying to plan a little something for my 40th birthday, and she asked me if I wanted to go out of town or, go to a brewery or something and invite some friends and have a bit of a party or something. And I just said, I'm going to take the out of town option. Um, my birthday was on a Thursday this year, so it's kind of weird to try to plan some kind of get together with everybody having to work. Well, most folks having to work. I've been off all week, but most folks having to work. My microphone's falling here. I tell you, it's nice not to have to. Let's see here. Tighten this thing up so I ain't on there too good. It's coming loose. hornet or something just flew by. I'm quite sure y'all heard that. Dang hornet out here. This is what happens when you try to podcast in the great outdoors. Equipment ain't too good. Got hornets coming after me. Alright. But yeah, you can't really plan too much these days. Everybody's busy. I don't know. I guess there's a part of me that just didn't want to fool with. I get a touch here and there of the old social anxiety, I guess you'd say. That's really about the reason why I quit playing live music anywhere. I just don't like to be around crowds too much. And certainly don't want all the attention on me. But these are things that, it's better to figure out and try to do what makes you happy. I've learned, and there's a fine line between being selfish and doing what makes you happy. The old singer Rick Nelson had a song called Garden Party, and he said, "You can't please everyone. You got to learn to please yourself." And I think that's a pretty enlightening thing to use as a bit of a map, because if you think too much about what other folks are wanting from you, then you're gonna have a time of it, because people generally ain't happy with much of nothing, and that's generally speaking. But I love this cabin, man, we're staying at. It's so nice, and it's a big place, but we really don't need a place this big. But it's definitely going to be a place that I'll remember for a long time. It's one of my favorite places we visited, just simply because it's just so comfortable here. Everything is just, they got everything you need. We got a fire pit out here we have not used. We've got a hot tub that we have not used. But there's wooden Adirondack chairs, or Adirondack, however you say that, chairs, and very comfortable couch, very cool smart TV. So I've been watching my favorite programming on the YouTubes, like I do. There haven't been very many mosquitoes either up here on the mountainside, which has been a refreshing thing. And the peace of mind that I'm speaking about is something that seems like it's a little easier to achieve when you're in a place like this, where the hustle and bustle is not a factor. I do a lot of driving to and from work, and spending a lot of time on the interstate, I get to see some of the worst of people, unfortunately. People being in a hurry, not being considerate to other people. And it's a widespread thing, man. I don't want to be a part of that. But a man's got to make a living, and you got to get to and from work. I remember thinking when I was younger that whenever you went on vacation, you needed to have a itinerary, a long list of things that you want to do while you're on vacation, places you want to see and go, and things of that nature. And I can honestly say, speaking of this vacation specifically and just in general, it's so nice to not do that. We, even when we do go places where we go out and eat and things like that, we try to kind of not plan too much concrete, in set in stone plans, because it's just nice to be flexible when you are on vacation and just enjoying your time. The last thing that I would want to do is be stressed out on what we're doing next and whatnot. And I'll tell you, man, my microphone stand that I brought with me, I think it might be a piece of junk. There we go. Get her set back up. Look like it's flopping over there. These are the technical difficulties of an independent podcaster. There is no crew or anything. It's just me and this little H4n outdated Zoom recorder and a good SM58 microphone. Since we've been up here, I drank my first beer. I've had 5 beers and 2 whiskeys since we've been up here, and that's the first alcohol I've had since Memorial Day weekend. I've been trying to get myself in better shape and take better care of myself. And I will be returning to my exercise routine when we get back home. And continuing to, lay off the alcohol and the chocolate and whatnot. I have splurged a bit up here, but I look forward to getting off of it again and just trying to keep this old body running like it's supposed to. I had a mishap this morning. I went to, I guess this is my first fall as a over a 40 gentleman. I stubbed my toe on the side of the dang fireplace when we got up this morning. It was early, trying to take the dogs out, and I just got twisted up and fell, knocked over the fire poker, and the little wire guard there that guards the fireplace, all that come crashing down. And I wasn't intoxicated or anything. I just woke up, and you know how it is. You think you're familiar with a place, and apparently I was not, because when I hit the side of that fireplace with my foot, everything just went out of whack, and I took a tumble. Ended up taking a flat back bump. I don't know how I ended up on my back, but it was like I twisted in midair. I don't know what happened, but it was weird. And Crystal, she was like, "Are you all right? You need me to help you up?" I was like, "I'll get up. I got it. I'm all right." But I laid there for a minute, looked at the ceiling, and thought, because I hit my hip on the fireplace going down, and I thought, "Oh boy, I done hurt myself right here one day after turning 40." But I'm okay. I'm a little stiff. My left hand's a little stiff, and my hip, I'm sure, is going to be a little bruised, but I'm all right. But I see how quickly one can fall. It's been a long time since I took a fall. I was probably in my mid-20s last time I fell. But you always hear about the old timers falling and breaking hips and whatnot. And I was like, oh boy, have I done that here? Luckily, that didn't happen. It's heating up pretty good out here now. I think it's going to be probably, well, it's been being around 90, but like I said, it's a lot cooler up here, so hopefully it won't get too hot. Today, on our last day, I kind of want to sit out here around this fire pit tonight, enjoy it. But if not, we got a fire pit at home. I guess we can fire it up maybe tomorrow night. One thing about uh, this birthday, I have not been as uh, I don't know how you'd say it, worried or overthinking this one too much. It truly is just kind of surreal to me to be 40 years old. It really doesn't even seem uh, real. I mean, I have my aches and pains like anybody else does, but in my mind, I don't feel 40 years old at all. And I understand fully now how, older people that are 70, 80, 90, how they could look back at their life and be just still astonished that time has passed by so quickly. Because I remember at certain points in my life, um, whether it was good times or bad times, how long certain periods of time seemed at that time. Specifically, like when I was a young kid or whatever. I mean, the time that you're, I'd say the time that you're 8 to 10 years old, or the time that you're 15 or something, that is a long time, it seems like. And now I think back to when I was 35, and it just seems like yesterday. Even, I guess, ever since I turned 30, actually, time has really sped up, it seems. And I think that's a big part of that's because I don't have a lot of stress in my life. My 20s was kind of turbulent for me. My From my adolescence to my teenage years was like it is for anybody. You're just trying to figure out who you are and things of that nature, and maybe that makes time seem like it's moving a little slower. And yeah, wanting to hurry up and grow up, wanting to hurry up and get to 16, and then hurry up and get to 18, and then 19 and 21. I remember the rush, wanting to rush those times, those younger years, and I don't want to rush anything anymore. I like for time to slow down, but it doesn't. It certainly seems that as you get older, time goes a lot faster. And one of the biggest uh, things that will truly mess with your mind is to think about the time that you spent doing things that you didn't necessarily want to do for monetary reasons or whatever. Um, any free time that you have to do the things you love, be with the people you love, I think that the best advice I could give anybody is to cherish those times, because a lot of time here on this earth is spent doing things to please others and to put food on the table. You know, if life was quote unquote somewhat fair, I guess we'd all have Elon Musk type money and be able to do whatever we wanted to anytime. I guarantee you I wouldn't be working on going to space or nothing. I'd be probably sitting right here talking to y'all, just like I am now, but doing it a lot more often. The other day before we left home, I was sitting there on the couch and playing some PlayStation, which I hadn't done in a very, very long time, like years. Playing some baseball on there and just enjoying it for the game. And I've missed that. I've got so many hobbies and so little time to do all of them that, much like this podcasting thing, it's gone to the wayside. I wrote a little bit in my journal yesterday morning, which is something that I enjoy doing. A little bit more now than podcasting, just simply because with everything being so polarized and everything, I don't want to project or convey thoughts that aren't well thought out anymore. This is another thing that I have gained with age, and I consider it a little bit of wisdom, is the fact that I do not speak on things that I don't think through, or at least I try not to. I mean, I'm not perfect, nobody is. And sometimes you can get in the heat of the argument with somebody and say some things that you wish you wouldn't have later. But uh, I've tried to really, really be a little more diligent about that and a little more disciplined about how I share my thoughts uh, and opinions, because I know it's a controversial thing to say now, but I don't particularly enjoy the instant opinion machine that social media has become. And I've conveyed that many times over the years. But it really has pushed me to step back from the podcasting thing and even the Twitter thing. I just don't think it's the most valuable thing for me to do, uh, as far as spending my time spreading opinions. I keep a lot of my opinions to myself because I just I, I feel like that's the best way for me to handle that kind of stuff. But yeah, man, I played some guitar up here. Um, the the way that Martin D28 I have, it's 10 years old now, or 11 technically. I've had it for 10 years. It was made in 2011, but I was sitting up in one of the rooms in this cabin playing it yesterday and closed the door. There is something magical about an acoustic guitar and finger picking with no pick, and the reverberation of the wooden walls of the cabin and stuff. just just magical, man. I posted up a version of Garth Brooks' "The Dance," and because that song really really becomes more and more meaningful as I'm around longer. Just to give a little bit of an example of how fast time goes by, that song's over 30 years old now. So I was just a little boy when that song come out. And I still remember it like it was yesterday. I think that art and music, things of that nature, are very precious. There's a big hawk flying by up here right now, too. Nature is very precious as well. One thing that I know for sure, I don't know if y'all can hear that, we got the pump going for the hot tub over here, which I have not gotten in. I don't know, man. I'm a little scared of hot tubs. They said they cleaned it out and stuff. I don't know. We shall see. We're going to be out of here in the morning, so if it don't happen tonight, I doubt I'm getting in there. Not much of a big swimming pool man either. Just don't do. There's another hawk. Man, it's fascinating creatures. Yeah, nature is present or precious. Rather, there's another hawk. That's 3 hawks I've seen. It's just beautiful, man, up here. If you ever want to disconnect and just go sit somewhere and enjoy God's creation, look out over the mountains, look down in the canyon, because that's what it's. We're up on top of I guess it's the highest peak of this area up here, but you can really see for miles and miles. It's just beautiful. But anyway, this has been a little mini podcast. I don't do hour-long shows or none of that no more. I just check in from time to time and post them up on YouTube, and then maybe sometime in the future somebody might be interested in something I had to say. That's something that I am also fiddling with, I guess you'd say, is an artistic statement. Back in my day, as the folks like to say, we had home videos. And you didn't watch them very often. But when you did, it was kind of a magical little thing. You take the VHS and put it in there. Maybe you look back at a relative or something, and I don't know how long. I don't know if I'll be around another 40 years or not. But just like little breadcrumbs, what I'd like to do with my YouTube channel, this little secondary channel that I have here, I would like to release a video every so often from the past and just leave it out there. And like I said, if somebody is ever interested in anything that I've had to say while I'm here, because I do that all the time. Just the day before yesterday, I went back and watched an old Jerry Garcia interview, and I'm really an amateur Grateful Dead fan, but he's such a fascinating character, and he just seems like such a smart guy that it was fun to go back and listen to his thoughts and opinions on certain things. And then yesterday, Crystal was taking a nap, so I put on an old Waylon concert from 1983, Waylon live in London, and he had a bunch of different people playing with him that I didn't recognize, because the late 70s Waylon, as far as live performances, have been the ones that I have studied the most. But 83, boy, he was still really playing the heck out of that Telecaster and really had a good sound. They were all humming right along, but for for whatever reason, I've seen a couple of shows, and Richie Albright wasn't playing drums with him then, and I wonder what was going on there. Also saw a show from the late '80s, and it was him performing "Rose in Paradise," but Reggie Young wasn't playing the lead guitar on there. Some actually he had the fellow that plays bass with him. I won't say what his nickname is because it could be misconstrued as something else, and we don't want that out there. I think his name's Jerry Bridges. Uh, but I'm a fan of little documentaries and old concerts and all that. So I'm gonna try to leave a few breadcrumbs here and there over my next few years in this old world. Hopefully another 40 be cool. Man, I got hawks flying around all out here. It is absolutely majestic. It is wild to watch, man. But anyway, I appreciate y'all if you've tuned into this and if you've sat here and listened to me talk for 30 minutes or so. I appreciate you. I've got some ideas in here on my phone. I'm going to go in there and refill my coffee and come back out here, and I might discuss some of the things on there. But if not, uh, y'all take it easy. It's old JP signing off from Mentone, Alabama. All right, we back online here, back to recording, if you will. Let's see if I can go over a couple of subjects here that maybe, and I might have touched on these a little bit, but if you've made it this far, you're probably interested in what I have to say about some things. All right, we'll stop. We'll start from the bottom here, because I try to write these down from time to time, and this is just some ideas that I've had over the last few months. Certainly since I've done a podcast, and I guess this ties in with age and wisdom, but just a thought that I had is overindulgence is a distant memory. And let me just speak on that a little bit. And I still see it a lot throughout entertainment, whether it be television shows or music or whatever, but like they glorify, we're just going to say drugs and alcohol altogether. For example, we watch the reruns of The Big Bang Theory quite a bit. I love that show, always have. And just the way that they show those quote unquote younger people, Penny in particular, and Raj and them drinking, binge drinking, showing it like it's such a good time or whatever. And they drink a lot on that show. A lot of people don't pay that too much attention, but and this isn't all about that show in specifically, but like just using those guys for an example. Because me, as a young kid, some of the music that spoke to me was Hank Jr. and Merle Haggard and George Jones and people like that, who every other song it seemed like was a drinking song. So I learned about alcohol and it being a quote unquote fun time for them, from them rather, and for them, I guess. But George Jones specifically would sing about how it was killing him. And then he would have a song like CC Waterback with him and Merle Haggard where they're, having a good time. One's for my aching head, the other's for my bloodshot eyes. Last night I let it all hang out. I guess that's why my head got sore. And I just love the music. Didn't really think a lot about what they were actually singing about and how bad you can actually feel if you overindulge in alcohol specifically. And I've done that a few times in my life. I don't make any bones about it. I love drinking, but I know that daily drinking will it'll wreck your health, man. And I don't do that. I just don't do it. I'm very, very cognizant of how much I drink. And that's something that you have to learn with time, I think. My late teens, mid 20s, I drank more than I should have. And some of it's the company you keep, I feel like. Uh, Good time and buddies and things of that nature that that's all the entertainment that they have or they want to experience in this life is to just get them a 12 pack or more and try to finish that off before they lay their head down on the weekend. I think that was a crowd that I hung with for a little while, and I'm proud to say I don't anymore. I don't find any value in drinking until you're sick. It's just not for me. I feel like having a few beers or something to relax, or a couple of drinks of good whiskey on the rocks to relax is nice, but partying of any kind ain't for me anymore. And I think maybe that's the reason why I just didn't care to have a 40th birthday party. I don't party anymore. I don't even care to be around a party, much less partake in it. But yeah, the glorification, I guess you'd say, of all that though has become more evident to me since I'm no longer a part of that at all, and it's just it's really just a waste of time. Um, I used to find it entertaining to drink and just spew nonsense, talk a bunch of old craziness and whatnot. But ah, I guess that's part of getting older and time moving on. All right, we got another subject here that I got for you. Bliss. Is it a blessing? Let's see, what is the specific definition of bliss? I think that'll help us here to kind of talk about this some because I feel like bliss is basically uh, extreme happiness, ecstasy, gladness, lightness of heart, spiritual joy. Hmm. I think what I was more so referring to is ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss. This was more so lack of knowledge resulting in happiness. So, yeah, ignorance is bliss, lack of knowledge resulting in happiness. Because I think that there are a whole lot of people out there that are happy because they don't know what's going on. They don't research things, don't want to know things, and the ignorance of not knowing those things makes them happy, which it's not my place to judge people. I know a handful of these folks that live this way, but I choose not to. I enjoy reading, researching, watching documentaries and stuff, learning, continuing to learn as I progress throughout this life. And sometimes, not meaning to, I can come off as, or at least I perceive it this way, as judgmental, I guess you would say, when I'm speaking to somebody who is living this ignorance is bliss type lifestyle. And I don't mean to be. It's just a little mind blowing sometimes, and maybe just such a different approach for me. I just have a hard time understanding how people would just rather not know about things that are going on. Uh, Specifically, like there are certain subjects that can't even be talked about anymore at all. Uh, and again, going back to earlier in the show, like I said, I like to think through my opinions on some of these stronger subjects or forbidden topics. I like to think through and possibly not share those opinions due to the fact that everything's so polarized. But there are people who ignorance or bliss, or ignorance is bliss is their pathway throughout this life, that have never heard of that saying. They do not care to even know about these subjects or to even think um, one day into the future, which is, in a way, it's a little bit, I'm a little bit envious, I guess you'd say, more so than judgmental, just for the fact that these people, I guess you would say, it is a way of being completely free to not think or quote unquote overthink things that you can't control, or to even address subjects that are things that you're not even remotely connected to or interested in. So maybe they're right. I don't know. But I just thought it was something that was worth touching on, I guess. Let's see what else is this is a good one for me. The cost of a reckless youth for the sake of creating art, film, or music. And who I'm speaking of here, who I had in mind with this thought was the Kurt Cobains, the Keith Whitleys, the Amy Winehouse, the Janis Joplins, the Jimi Hendrix. The list is very lengthy. The majority of those people that I just named off died when they were 27 years old. I have lived 13 more years than those people. And I know for a fact that I'm still learning and trying to figure out this life. They were amazing artists in their respective fields of music. But they spun out of control and left this place way earlier than most of us would have wanted them to. I even think about Elvis, and Elvis was like the first guy who was super, super, super famous, and he had no playbook to follow or to look to see what not to do. And Elvis, who seemed to have this incredible life, only lived 2 years longer than me. He died when he was 42. And it would be just mind boggling to me for all this to be over at 42, much less 27. I, I mean, there have been so many good things happen to me since I was 27. Um, I and bad things. I mean, there's been some pain that I went through, pain of loss and whatnot. But just kind of circling back around to the dance as a metaphor for life, like I wouldn't have missed any of that. You know, I I see no point in reckless youth. Like Dwayne Allman was in his early 20s when he died, and he had just really reached the pinnacle of his playing. I mean, there's no telling how much more of a impact he could have had on the musical landscape had he lived. And then you see people who do live a long time, and they do not learn from their mistakes of their youth, and they just really just deteriorate over the years as well. That's not I don't know if that's the answer either to some of these wild spirits that pass on early in life, to live a long life and to continue to behave the way they did. Some of them, all of them, that was not their fault, but their demise. But a lot of these people, like the you know Cobains and Whitleys and stuff, that passed due to substance stuff, if they would have lived and still not been able to get their substance abuse under control, then that wouldn't have been much of a life for them either. So it's an interesting concept to think about. Um, I know one thing. I don't find it romantic or entertaining at all to see a young person struggling with their demons, even if they are creating um, great music or art at all. I don't find that intriguing or entertaining to watch. It's sad, and it's a bummer, man. I just yeah, I think that if you have a problem in your youth, get help if you can. And don't let anybody tell you that you won't be entertaining or you won't create good art uh, because you're straight and narrow. Because you're sober or at least managing your intake of those things. Don't let anybody tell you that. That's the only advice I could give people who find any of that to be a sensible thing to do. There's another thing that I wanted to speak about a little bit, and that is the insignificance of awards, contest, etc. The importance of touching an individual with the music is what is important, not the awards, or the freaking singing contest or hit records or any of that. Um, it took me a long time to really understand something about the music business, and that is the fact that award shows are nothing more than promotional tools for record labels. They are insignificant because they are not voted on by the fans. And that goes everything from the Grammys to the Country Music Awards, any kind of awards, MTV Awards, any of that. All that is garbage. Oscars, all of it. And I'm telling you, and you know, this is this is an opinion I will stand by, because the music business has very, very little to do with talent. A lot of it has to do with money and who's going to get the most eyes on any piece of merchandise that is being sold. They don't really care too much about the even what the songs say. Okay, there have been multiple examples of that over the last few years. The escalation of vulgarity and just the degenerative nature of music over the last few years has been really astonishing. And I don't have to go into specifics. If you have looked at any of the popular music that has come out over the last few years, and some of the imagery and things that they put in it, you definitely are gonna have a hard time counter arguing my points here. But yeah, I remember watching all the country music shows, getting to see who was George Strait or Alan Jackson putting out a new song and being excited about it, and even back then, like the very rare appearance that they would let Dwight Yoakam come on there and sing a song. And then, I've always been a huge Dwight fan, and then just wondering, he got such a great crowd reaction every time he played on award shows and any of the live performances that you would see back then, and then they would give him no radio play. Uh, Prime example was, 10 years ago or so, when Sturgill burst on the scene with meta modern sounds in country music. It should have been the album that had the same effect that Waylon's This Time album did, but it didn't, because the powers that be would not allow that kind of music on the radio with a Luke Bryan or Jason Aldean type record played, and there are counter arguments that say, well, Chris Stapleton made it through. Well, Stapleton made it through simply because he had rubbed elbows with the people that I just mentioned and had co-written songs for people who had um, relationships in the music business. So although I totally respect his talent and enjoy his music gratefully, you know, uh, Stapleton is a different type of cat, but I think that it the thing about music is if somebody finds an artist that they love and they can turn them on like I did Waylon yesterday on a quiet afternoon on my birthday and watch a whole concert from nearly 40 years ago. And I do this regularly. I still go back to his music. The early George Strait and Dwight Yoakam and Travis Tritt and people like that. That those people have changed my life. When I sit down with a guitar and start to play, I 9 out of 10 times play their songs before I even play my own. You know, it's just uh, it's just an influence and a positive experience that has been a true blessing to my life. And if I could give any advice to a young music lover, it would be find the music that you love to listen to and hold on to it. And don't let anybody tell you that after 3 months, a song should be put on the shelf and never listened to again. I think a good song can last a lifetime, not only for the artist who created it, but for the listener. A prime example is, for me, Diamond Rio's debut album. Their self titled album is still in my rotation. It's 30 something years old now. I think it came out in 1990. Another album, Pirates of the Mississippi. Same thing. Still in my rotation all these years later. And these are whole albums, not just songs. Those are just a couple examples that come to mind. Let's see here. What else we got on the docket? I got a couple of things here, and I guess something that I want to end with on my 40th podcast, 40th year on this Earth podcast, I guess is what this is. Just sharing some thoughts. Is a couple of things that I've tried to truly implement into my life, aside from God, and at least making an effort to be a decent person, and be a God fearing decent dude, I guess you'd say, is sharing kindness with as many people as I can and trying to be understanding of people who are not kind. Um, it's hard to do sometimes when somebody is belittling you or just mean spirited. Uh, but turning the other cheek is 9 out of 10 times the best way to handle that kind of thing. And I hope that, when somebody looks back at some of the contributions that I've made to this earth, they can say that I have been a decent guy and been kind to most people most of the time. I think that's That's very important. Another thing that I have really tried to implement into my life is discipline. And it is extremely hard for some people to be disciplined on the little things, much less the big things. And I struggle with the little things. The big things, not so much. I can hold it in the road pretty good. I'm the type of guy who, if I'm scheduled to be somewhere, I'm there the majority of the time. I'm very good about being disciplined in that regard. It's the little things. It's the maybe reaching for a sweet treat or a fattening meal or something a little too often that has been a detriment to me throughout my life. And the lack of discipline to be consistent sometimes has been hard. But the thing that I found has helped is keeping accountability for for the little things that I need to improve on, and I've done a lot better with that over the last few years, specifically since 2016. I had a minor knee injury that really helped me uh, get my health in order and hold myself accountable. And a lot of that is to like some of the people that I follow through podcasts and just social media and stuff. Started to leave little breadcrumbs about health and diet and stuff, and to know that as you get older, if you really are disciplined and hold yourself accountable for the little things, the big picture is going to be pretty bright. Because, as you all know, if you are building a little small stack of rocks, little rocks, little rocks, little rocks every day turn into a big pile of rocks. So you have to really just be disciplined and hold yourself accountable for any bad decisions that you make. Overthink it sometimes. It don't hurt a thing to overthink it sometimes. You don't want to overthink everything, but sometimes you might need to. If you've ate at the same fast food joint for the past 3 or 4 days, it might be time to think, hey, I might need to cut this down to once a week at least. That's the kind of just the kind of things that pop in my mind and have been a blessing to me. And discipline is it's hard. I think that the guys and gals who go to the military, that's probably one of the best things that they experience there is the learning how to be disciplined. And you can see some people it sticks with them, some people it doesn't. But the ones that really take it seriously, it seems like their life is enriched by having discipline in it. But anyway, I've talked enough, y'all. This is going to be about an hour long show. I didn't anticipate sitting out here and doing this long of a show, but hey, it's a beautiful day. I've got shade and a cool breeze blowing, and it is 1 p.m. on Friday, July 22nd, the year of the Lord 2022. My name is Josh Porter, and I am a 40-year-old musician slash podcaster slash forklift operator. And I'd just like to thank anybody who has had anything kind to say on my birthday or anything kind to say about me at all over the years. I appreciate y'all. checking out my music over on my main channel on here and the Josh Porter '08 YouTube channel. And if you would like some exclusive content, you can go to patreon.com/joshporter08, and I'm posting some exclusive stuff over there. And it's only $1 a month if you'd like to check some of that stuff out. So I would greatly appreciate it if you could do that. Anyway, if you can't, I appreciate you anyhow, because if you've listened to me talk for an hour, we obviously have some kind of connection somewhere here in the ether, out in the cyberspace, if you will. So, anyhow, I'm going to watch the hawks fly around and drink a little more coffee and have a good afternoon. Thank y'all for listening. I tell to you.